Anyone here like working with concrete? I like working with concrete. Now, one of our part-time custodians the last 2 summers has been full-time working concrete, and especially a hot year like this one, he just said last week, nope, not doing it again. It's hard work, but I enjoy it. It's good. There's some good things about it in small doses, right? What do you need? It takes time to get things ready. Underneath your pour of concrete, you need what is called, right, inorganic matter. You can't have dirt of any kind. If you do, as it decomposes, it's organic matter, right? It will decompose and everything will shift and everything will get out of whack and it'll crack and it'll be horrible. You need sand, gravel, rock, something solid. You got to have the right stuff underneath you. Got to have the right foundation. Jesus said to Peter, on this rock, solid foundation. On that I will build my church. Gates of hell won't even prevail against it. What's the church? What we're about? What is it? Who are we? What's the big deal? Why do we need this thing where we bind things and loose things? And what's that all about? Why? Why do we have it anyway? See, this is a real turning point in Matthew's gospel. Been some wonderful things to this point, amazing teachings. From here on out, things get very, very real. You hear how Jesus approached those of his closest followers. Who do other people say, right? Who do other people say? And they give their answers, and then he gets very personal and real. Who do you say that I am? And for once, anyway, Peter gets it right. At least for a moment, right? And Jesus says, you're Peter now, right? On this rock. It's a play on words. It's basically the same word in the language that they were using, Peter and rock. And scholars will continue this debate. What's the rock? Is it Peter himself? Is it Peter's faith that he displays? What's that all about? Is this to be this church that's going to be just this big institution, and that's what it's all about? I don't care to answer those questions. What does concern me is that we see that this is Jesus himself, our foundation, the rock, trust, faith in this one who will not let us go and will not let us down. This church thing that he says is going to be built is all of us together, imperfectly gathered around this deepest love of all. See, when we get that, like Peter did, and then we have those moments where we don't get it as well, but when we get it and we have a chance to live it out and work it out in this community together, man, that's when the church rocks. Like Peter, when we have those times where we get in that spot, in that place in our walk with Jesus, when it's not just about what the world thinks of Jesus, but what we do, when we experience this gracious reality in our lives, that's when it gets real. And if Jesus says, build on this rock, among so many other things, what it means is that we need each other. This church. We need each other to be together on this journey. We rejoice when we can. Remember a few years ago when we couldn't? And here's my true confession. Summer is my least favorite season of the church year. It's not a church season, but it's my least favorite season for the church because we're scattered, right? And I get it, right? It's good. It's good for us to rest and be restored, to recreate, especially in this part of the world. Garrison Keillor was once asked, why is theology so important in the upper Midwest? And he simply answered, because nature tries to kill us 4 times a year. So I get it. It's good for us to do that. Maybe you feel the same thing. There's not enough togetherness to satisfy the soul. We need that foundation of faith. We need each other as we try to live it out, figure it out, the highs and lows and everything in between. What's been given to us for thousands of years. And we get to share together. Recently, my dad found some papers of his mother's, copies of a book that took some of our genealogy straight back from my grandmother on his side to 1650, stuff we'd never seen before. And it started me thinking about all those things that they brought to my life. I've never known them. But how many others have brought things to us, to this moment in this community, sharing the love of Christ for thousands of years? So I looked at my family. I just really discovered some of this the other day. My grandfather, on my dad's side, his first name, he went by his second name, but his first name was Heman. It's not a common name. My great-grandmother knew the scriptures so well that she wanted her firstborn to be named Heman. He was a guardian in the temple, appointed to be a musician, a composer, and a singer, holding holy things. Psalm 88 was written by him. Check it out. It's kind of cool. My other grandfather on my mom's side, what he brought to me, his name is Robert. His nickname was Dolly. In the words of his brother, because he was so cute. Bill knew his brother, one of his brothers. He had a heart of gold. Big, big, big heart. He had deep, deep love and great faith. I loved listening to him sing what was called evening prayer as he stood next to the piano when my grandmother played it at the end of the day. Both of my grandmothers started playing organ in their churches at the age of 12. I have a great-great-grandfather. You probably saw this in the last 2 weeks. He's in the Guinness Book of World Records, longest beard ever in the world. It was gross. They found wheat in it 40 years after they cut it off of him. He was the first person in the upper Midwest to have dreadlocks, but it was in his beard, not his hair. Another great-great-grandfather, North Lemoore Lutheran Church. He was the clocker, the cantor. He led the singing. His father, Per, came from Norway, or was in Norway as well. And I knew this, I just knew this had to be in there. Earlier in his life, he was a fishing boat captain out on the sea in the Lofoten Islands. I knew it had to be in my blood. It was there. We found my great-great-great-great-grandfather, born in 1771. He was the 6th of 8 children. The other 7 died between the ages of 1 and 10, the only survivor. None of them came to this country because it was so great where they were. They brought their faith with them. Or rather, I should say, their faith brought them here. And now as you look at others, it's not to mention my parents, my sisters, hundreds of others in my family, and how many pastors, how many other thousands of church folk who have brought this faith to me now. I can only stand on those shoulders of those who have come before me, like all of us. What about the foundation of faith here? So many have brought that to us and continue to do so. Flat out. We need each other to bring this good news to us, and we need to share it with others. There's so much in the world this day of an individualistic religion and spirituality. I can do all this on my own. That's pretty American. Fact is, it's both physically and spiritually impossible to be a Christian in isolation. I can do it all on my own, really. So when you wrote the Bible, where did you get the words? When you sing all those other hymns and say those other prayers, when did you write those? Somebody else brought it to you. Like anything, when we say, I can do this on my own, well, that takes you and me right back to the Garden of Eden with those two petulant children who said, thanks, God, but we've got a better idea. We can do it better than you. And instead of standing on the rock, hearts turned to cold, hard stone. Need each other. Foundation of this one who loves us to death. And you'll have to figure out where you're at on this, but I know that for myself, I need, and I do see that others need this too, I need things like accountability in the midst of a community. Need other people who can guide and lead and listen and walk with me, lest my thoughts and ideas run astray and go way far away from the very will of God. We're called through Peter from Christ to build each other up on this foundation, the rock of Jesus in our midst, and to be with each other on this road to trust. Why do we have this? Why do we have this church? Here's a few reasons. Just from the last few weeks, there's a young lady in our congregation, early 20s. Her employer is giving her $500 to give away. And she said, I want that to go to the Olivet youth. I want that to go to a kid or other kids to go on a trip because I received such a gift and that trip changed my life. Why do we have church? You may have seen it last week. There was a bulletin and a rose right over there in Mary's pew. Left side, fifth row, fifth pew on the aisle. Mary's funeral was a week ago Friday. Mary sat in that spot for 50 years. She saw that place and looked around this room where all the baptisms and weddings and funerals and confirmations and everyday run-of-the-mill Sundays for 50 years. A year ago was the last time that she came here and she sat in that spot and lit up, both with memory and in faith. That's why the church exists. Why do we have the church? It's when our little ones who know that you are their people, tiny little ones, and they help usher And they help do all this. And a few Sundays ago, amidst about 140 questions, why are you wearing a name tag? I said, well, some people don't know who I am. I want them to know. I want a name tag. I said, you guess what? September, you're going to get one. Everyone's going to get one. That wasn't the end of it. Yeah, I have a name tag, and then I can help. I said, okay. Why do we have the church? It's for every one of us who comes here for some reason in a dark moment, when we're coming here together to know some light, experience some light, to have some hope, to make a confession, to get stuff out. Because as I've been told, once you start getting the garbage out of your soul, that's when God starts to enter in. Why do we have the church like last Wednesday night? We shared a meal. We were worshiping together outside. We shared some enjoyment and appreciated life together. That's the church. With Peter, when we can say, yep, Jesus, you're the one. You are the one who will give us, who will fill us with divine love and show us the way. That's when the love of Jesus just rocks the church. Amen.